Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu she'aton Baruch
Amen.
Amen.
L'chaim.
l'chaim l'chaim everyone. We begin
Amen.
new mimer in preparation for Rosh Hashanah that's coming. This mimer was said on the eve of Rosh Hashanah, 1981. Yeah. Okay, it begins like this. It begins with a verse from the Musaf of Rosh Hashanah davening. And it says, Zeh Hayoim, this is the day, Tchilas, the beginning, Ma'asecha, of your deeds, your actions. Zichrain, memorial or remembrance, L'Yom Rishon, to the first day. Again, this is the day. This is the day. What is it? We'll see. It's a reference to Rosh Hashanah, right? And we're saying this on Rosh Hashanah, right? Tchilas, the beginning of your actions. Zichrain l'yom rishon, a remembrance to the first day. So the Tzemach Tzedek, the grandson of the Alter Rebbe, third Rebbe, who on Erev Rosh Hashanah, he was born in what year? I think in the 1790s or something like that. I recall. Okay. He's the grandson. So he says, seemingly there is a contradiction from the beginning of the verse to the end of the verse. What does that mean? When you say that this is the beginning of your actions, beginning means beginning, literally, right? Right. And this is a reference to Rosh Hashanah because Zeh Hayoim, this is the day, right? Rosh Hashanah, the beginning of creation of all the worlds, which means every Rosh Hashanah, the world is all the worlds. In other words, not just this world, but the spiritual worlds, likewise, are being recreated like the first time. Yeah, that's what this day is. The beginning of your actions, right? What was your action? You're creating the world, right? That's what God's, that's Rosh Hashanah, beginning of creation. Now, the words at the end of the verse, Zichron l'yom rishon, it's a remembrance, a memorial, a remembrance to the first day. Is saying that it's only a remembrance to the first day, and not all of creation, right? Just to the first day. So beginning verse is like it's the beginning of all of your creation, right? And then the end of the verse, it seems to be just a reference to first day. So he explains that Rosh Hashanah, you have two ideas. You have that which is Tchilas Ma'asecha. You have the fact that it is the beginning of God's works. That is a remembrance to the first day, and that it is a remembrance to the first day. In other words, the fact that we say Rosh Hashanah is the beginning of your works. Afterwards, we're adding something, right? That's what it means. We're adding something. And it's a remembrance, a memorial, if you will, to the first day. So from this, it's understood the Rosh Hashanah, that Rosh Hashanah, the fact that it is a zichron, right? Chabad zichron, right? A remembrance. That Rosh Hashanah is a zichron, is a remembrance to the first day, is greater than that, than the fact that God creates. It's the beginning of creation. So we need to understand this, right? What does this mean? Well, understand this, right? Those were sort of like a skeleton without, now we need the meat on this. So we'll understand this in that we say that Rosh Hashanah, the Rosh Hashanah is the beginning of God's works. Now, that is a bit challenging itself. What does that mean? The Alter Rebbe questions in the Likutei Torah. The Rosh Hashanah is, what do you mean the beginning of God's work? Rosh Hashanah is the sixth day of creation. The beginning of God's works is, actually today's Chav Daled Elul, tomorrow will be Chav Hey, the first day of creation. Tomorrow will be, and let there be light. Today we're before creation. There's nothing. Yeah. So the first day of creation is Chaf Hey Elul, the 25th of Elul. Rosh Hashanah, the day that Adam was created, is the sixth day of creation, which means, hey, sixth day of creation, it's the end of creation, the finish of creation, right? So the obvious question, how do you say of this day that it's the beginning of your work? It's the end of your work. You've been working, God was working hard for 5 days previously. That was a joke. God doesn't work hard. He didn't have to take millions or billions of years to work to create the world. If you don't believe in God, so then, yeah, I mean, listen, what we evolved into, a lot of, it's a lot of work got to get into this, right? But if you believe in God, well, what? God has to work hard to create what he creates? No. So it's literally 5 days before. Right. So what does this mean then? Seemingly, Zehayoim, Tchilas Masecha, this is the beginning of your actions, your work. Well, it's already the sixth day of his work. So the explanation is that the entire purpose of creation, what's the entire purpose of creation? There should be revelation of godliness in the world, to the extent that every single detail of creation should reveal the glory of God himself. As our sages say in Pirkei Avos, at the end of Pirkei Avos, which this Shabbos we will do the last two paragraphs of, Pirkei Avos, and that will be the end of that custom that we learn in the afternoon after Mincha, Pirkei Avos, the ethics of our fathers. And it's our sages say everything that God created in his world, he only created for his glory. Right? That's what he did it for. Interesting statement, right? Sounds very self-absorbed. Well, the truth is God is very self-absorbed because there's only but God.
Choice.
Not a choice. That's the only true reality, right? He cannot not be him, or at least he chooses that he should be him, right? And out of his kindness, he allows us, and that will be the next point, to be him, be a part of him, to be like him. So that's the whole purpose of creation, right? That God should be revealed, his glory, his oneness, his authenticity. Well, that's only going to be done through our service. Tree is not going to do it when God created it on the third day. The sun, the moon, and all the celestial beings are not going to do it or create it on the fourth day. Animals, cows ain't going to do it. They were created on the sixth day, but whatever else ain't going to do it. It's only going to be Adam. Therefore, we say on Rosh Hashana that this is the beginning of your actions. Because this whole idea that there should be revelation of godliness in the world, in other words, a tree and an animal in and of itself is not revelation of godliness. Why not? Why isn't it revelation of godliness? Because it's klipas noiga, right? It's klipas noiga. It is a klipa, a shell that covers over on the holiness of and the reality of God. That's what trees and other things do. Right? Right?
You see godliness in a tree? Even though it's
Well, you could, of course. There's a shell. Shell can be broken open, right?
anytime.
Well, yes and no. Well, the point being without me or you or anyone to break it open, it doesn't break it open on itself, right? There isn't godliness. And the proof is that trees and animals and anything else of creation, most humans, most people, and even Adams abuse it and don't use it to reveal godliness. But its intended purpose is to reveal godliness. So that could only be through Adam, for our divine service, right? Without divine service, it's not going to be revealed. And it'll just be used for self-directed, self-pleasurable, revealing the power of man, maybe. You'll build a tower, a Babel, right? you'll build skyscrapers and glorify man, right? That's what people do, right? I mean, we're given the freedom of choice, but the intended purpose is to glorify God, not ourselves. So, therefore, we say that the beginning of your actions are on Rosh Hashanah, because this idea of revealing godliness in the world, which is the intended purpose of his actions, began with the creation of man, of Adam. Psh, powerful.
Birthday.
Yep. In addition to the fact that that began the possibility, right, on the sixth day of revealing godliness in the world, the truth is it actually happened in reality on that day, on the sixth day of creation. As our sages tell us that Adam Arishain, the first man, what did he do on that day? On that day that he was created. Remember, he was created like a 20-year-old. He wasn't created as a baby, right? Just as trees were created as if they had been there for hundreds, if not thousands of years, right? Right. When you would look at the world, on the day that he was created, you could mistakenly think that the world had been there for, hey, billions of years. So, what happened on that day? He announced to all of creation, let's come, right? Particularly the animals, right? Let's come and bow and prostrate ourselves, and we will bless before Hashem, our maker. In other words, he took all of creation, that they should come and recognize the creator. And creation responded, Hashem Malach Geu Slavesh, that which it says in Tehillim. In Psalms, it says Hashem is the king. He garbs himself with they translate this with exaltedness. He garbs himself with exaltedness. He was exalted on that day, right? Powerful. That's what creation did. And Yesh Leimar, so this is now the Rebbe. That was all from the Alter Rebbe. The Rebbe now adds to that this that we say, this is the beginning of your actions. Which is only that the intent is man, right? Creation, us, is because action, the word masecha, which action, deed, action, also shows on completion. When is a person complete? When they think an idea, when they express that idea, we're called a medaber, we're called communicators, speakers. So is that when we are complete? Huh? When we express an idea or when we act upon the idea? Completion and wholeness is when we act on the idea, right? When it comes to actuality that we've acted upon it. So likewise, this is also above, right? And on the contrary, the reason why completeness is action, to take action, right? Not to leave things in thought or in words, right? The reason why that is down here is because that's the way it is up there. In Adam, right? As the word Adam, Adam, comes from Adam Malelion. One of the explanations of the word means comparable to above. There's a reflection of above. In others, above, action is completion. Action down here is completion, right? And what we do. So the completion of the whole Seder Shtalshus, the whole order of creation, is specifically in action. And that's what it means. It's the beginning of your actions, that the action shows on completion, that Rosh Hashana, with the day that Adam was the first man was created, is the beginning of the completion of creation. Okay. As meaning showing that this is the whole purpose in creation. This is the completion. And others, and in that sense, it's the when you did the action, that's already, even though it's the last thing, but it is, and the completion, it's the whole intent. In that sense, it's beginning of your action. Action is the end. Right. All right. To be continued.
Thank you, Rabbi.